forced out of the oil markets. That there's one of two scenarios. One scenario is that Trump is just bluffing and eventually they'll cut some deal with Iran like they've done with North Korea. That's one view. The other view is that no, this is actually more like a regime change Iraq kind of scenario. I mean, that Pompeo, the Secretary Pompeo, and Bolton and all those guys in Washington basically have a much more regime change view of Iran. This is the wet dream of every neocon for the last decade to do something about Iran, more than even Iraq, or 2 decades. So those are some of the big picture signpost ideas that I thought, maybe could go into a fourth scenario. And the fourth scenario is a kind of actual conflict kind of scenario. And then that would obviously impact possibly defense spending and prices of commodities and even the ceilings. I mean, you think of last 2 weeks you had the Houthi rebels in Yemen shooting at Saudi vessels in the Straits of Hormuz, and any problem with Iran eventually is also going to block up or at least lead to some crisis in that region. I mean, that may affect some of the ceiling trade around natural gas out of Qatar into Asia, etc. So those are my initial thoughts at the larger picture. We can go case by case and deal with particular issues that you may have.
Very well. Sounds good. As an additional thing before we go to the second part, I would like to think a bit more about the third scenario. I mean, you say it's okay, but I would like to sort of fill it a bit more, because right now all I'm saying is foreign investment will revert back to previous tendency of incremental openness, which at this point, given what you said at the beginning of the conversation we had, make it less likely. And then there's a certain downside risks, like the wrong policy management, the slowdown, raising debt, asset pressing balances, unravel. But I mean, first thing, I want to understand whether these two things are possible together, right? Because I'm just thinking of the bad things that could happen worldwide. And the second thing is, what else could happen in this scenario, or maybe if this is enough for you to respond to the second part, then we can go back to this. But sort of what I'm afraid of is that we need to have enough meat in each of the scenarios.
I understand. And scenario 1 and 2 have a lot of meat, and you're right. Scenario 3 can get a little. I think with the pessimistic perspective on U.S. steel, another one you may add is that basically Trump is in that. I mean, unfortunately, we would have to introduce some politics into it, because the policy choice to go for tariffs to basically create a safe space for the U.S. steel manufacturers was a political decision. So unfortunately, there has to be a political angle in it, which you may not feel too comfortable writing, but which you may have to. Because I do think that you can have a scenario where either Trump is pushed out of office by the Mueller nonsense, and that means that you revert back to traditional Republican position on trade, right? Because nobody believes that Mike Pence is a nationalist, I love tariff guy like Trump. Nobody believes that. So that could be something that would mean that overnight they would try to resolve the trade issues, because clearly this tariff issue is something that Trump's base loves and Trump loves. But everybody between Trump's base and Trump, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of the Cabinet, the Republican leadership, the Republican members, the senators, to a man, almost all of them are opposed to it. Okay, so it's a policy that hangs on one man and one presidency, essentially. And I think that if the steel